Hey, hi everyone. Thank you everyone for joining. Uh, we'll get started. I think we are on time. So let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is joining from different parts of the world. Very excited to see the presence from developers and QA community here. We are looking forward to host our session for today, which is AI-powered DevTestOps, faster, smarter, and better. So I'll be hosting you today. My name is Mihir Shah, and here at BrowserStack, I'm part of the automation testing product team. I particularly look at app automation products. I have been with the firm for 2 years, prior to which I have been worked in B2C, e-commerce, B2B compliance sectors. I'm very happy to introduce my co-speaker, Siddhant Vadwani, who's the engineering manager at Newfold Digital. I'll leave the introduction to him as I hand the presentation over in a few minutes. So before we start today's session, just a few housekeeping items. Today's session will run for 60 minutes. All the participants will be muted so that we can have a complete flow of the presentation, and then we'll keep the Q&A towards the end. But you can definitely share your questions in the chat option here. That option is enabled. And we will either answer the questions during the flow or keep them towards the end. In case we are not able to cover any of the questions, we'll make sure those responses reach out to you via email, right? But our goal would be to sort of answer as many questions as we can, right? This session is being recorded and it will be available to all the attendees, right? So with that being said, we can jump to the content. So today's agenda, it's briefly, we'll have Siddhant giving his expert talk on DevTestOps with Gen AI. Post which will briefly touch on how BrowserStack is helping the testing and devs community evolve their testing. And after that, we'll wrap it up with questions and answers. With that, I'll hand it over to Siddhant. Siddhant, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mihir. Let me go ahead and share my screen. But yeah, while that is coming up, a warm welcome to everyone here. Good morning, good evening to everyone present. And yeah, let's wait for the slide to show up. Mihir, if you can confirm once the slide is up.
Yeah, I can see the slides.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's imagine a world where code isn't just a set of instructions, but a proactive partner that anticipates your needs and sparks innovation. As most of you know, today it's February 18, 2025, and the future that once belonged in a sci fi novel is now our everyday reality. No longer do we need to simply write commands. We collaborate with dynamic tools that learn, adapt, and co create alongside us. I'm Siddhant Wadhwani, and I invite you to join me on a journey through the evolving landscape of DevTestOps. In my session, DevTestOps with Generative AI, Innovate, Automate, and Elevate, we will explore how AI is transforming teamwork by breaking down barriers and opening the new realms of possibility. Today, human ingenuity meets machine intelligence, reshaping how we approach challenges and craft solutions. So step forward and embrace this brave new world where every line of code is a testament to our collective creative and innovation. Together, let's build a future where technology and teamwork are in perfect harmony. As most of you know, hello everyone, my name is Siddhant Wadhwani and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. I serve as an engineering manager SDET at Newfold Digital, bringing you over a decade of professional work experience in software testing, DevOps, and leadership. Most of you know me as part of this work, but beyond work, I'm an avid traveler, a sports fanatic, and a tech enthusiast. Also, a passionate mentor who loves sharing insights through technical blogs, podcasts, and conference talks. Currently, I lead a team of 35 estates globally, focusing on high impact testing strategies and the latest DevTestOps best practices. Over the years, I've also been honored to speak at several conferences, 100 plus so far, served as a BrowserStack champion and Mumbai chapter lead, and actively contribute to WordPress as open source advocate. My professional journey has also included several certifications, as you can see them listed here, and I'm also recognized as a top voice blue badge on LinkedIn. So, folks, feel free to reach out to me if you have any queries or concerns. On the left, you see my social media handles, and let's get started. So, as part of today's agenda, I have some interesting topics that I want to quickly walk you through. The first one is DevTestOps, the modern path to agility. Here, we'll begin by exploring and captivating the world of DevTestOps, an approach that's rewriting the rules of software development and testing. We'll discover how it ushers into a new era of speed, collaboration, and agility, along with efficiency. Next, we talk about CI/CD, as most of you may know it, continuous integration and continuous delivery. This is basically the heart of modern software development. So here we'll learn certain practices that are reshaping development and the testing landscape, enabling reliability and rapid delivery of code. Third, best practices and real world examples. We'll draw from certain real world use cases and understand what are the best practices that makes DevTestOps a powerhouse of efficiency. So get ready to deep dive with me into some practical insights and success stories. Fourth, we will be debunking certain myths and misconceptions. As most of you may know, DevTestOps is not a new term. Fifth, and the most interesting, I believe, is revolutionizing or transforming testing with generative AI. You'll be prepared to be amazed as we explore how generative AI is reshaping the testing landscape. I will have a quick demo on how we can use generative AI in certain use cases and then leave the rest for you to take away. Last but not the least, we also look at what the future roadmap holds and some quick summary of what we discussed today. So, on that note, imagine a bustling startup where every line of code carried the same weightage of a timeless truth. One day, the team gathered around a whiteboard, and their lead engineer began with Aristotle's immortal words: quality is not an act, it is a habit. This wasn't just a quote, it was basically a rallying cry. In that moment, the team realized that quality wasn't something to be sprinkled in occasionally or checked off as a final step. It had to be woven into the very fabric of their process, from the first spark of an idea to the final deployment. Fast forward to today's fast paced world of software development and DevOps. We see rapid iterations and constant updates that are the norms. The startup that we talked about earlier had transformed its approach by embracing cutting edge practices like continuous integration, automation testing, and containerized deployments. Each of these innovations wasn't merely a tool, it was a new habit, ensuring that quality remained a steadfast companion throughout every stage of deployment. The team discovered that by embedding quality into every step, they could swiftly detect issues, iterate on the feedback they received, and deploy resilient software. This proactive mindset not only reduced costly errors, but also fostered a more collaborative approach for continuous improvement, where learning and adaptation were part of the daily rhythm. So, as we delve into today's discussion, remember the journey of this team, a journey where Aristotle's insights evolved into a modern mantra. In our world of DevOps, making quality a habit is not just a practice, it's the heartbeat of innovation and reliability in every product we build. So, now that you know, we're talking about software, and most of us already are aware that software basically the idea is how a software starts with. This idea quickly evolves into a concept, but it only truly flourishes when we test it continuously and not just at the end. So think of unit test, integration test, or acceptance test as your essential toolkit, which help you spot and fix issues early. Moreover, if you involve users right from the start, you ensure your product aligns with real needs. with modern agile practices and smarter testing tools. Every step, right from planning to designing to coding to uh, development to deployment to maintenance, every single step of the way is refined and robust. And when you look at the result towards the end, it is quality software that stands the test of time. Thanks to this image by Dan Ashby. As most of you also know, quality is everyone's responsibility. And we can talk about it by the test pyramid, which is a metaphor that tells us to group software tests into buckets of different granularity. At the base, unit tests are small, fast bricks which catch issues early. The middle layer, it's the integration layer or the API layer, which ensures that these bricks work together smoothly. And at the top, you see UI tests that add the final polish, confirming the end user experience. Championed by Martin Fowler and Mike Cohen, this test pyramid guides us balancing our testing efforts. Today, with trends like microservices, micro frontends, containerization, Kubernetes, and several others, unit tests offer rapid feedback. Now we have contract testing, integration testing, targeted UI test, which ensure efficiency. And moreover, this dynamic structure remains a layered defense in the modern software development cycle. But to add to this, in order for a company to navigate through the fast paced tech world, quality isn't just an option, but rather a mandate. So, to lead this charge, they need to embark on a transformative journey by establishing a test center of excellence, which is moreover a framework built on processes, tools, KPIs, and innovation. As you can see, each of these columns, they represent analyze, standardize, synergize, expand, and track. But if you had to just catch the first initials, it's asset. And that determines how important setting up a testing center of excellence within your organization is. So here the adventure begins with a deep dive into the business vision using a SWOT analysis. Moving further, with newfound clarity, you standardize these testing processes, set clear performance metrics, and synchronize teams around a unified quality first goal. The impact becomes remarkable. Most of the cycle times shrink by 30%, and defects are curtailed to under 2%. However, this journey isn't without challenges on its path. The initial investment of time, money, and effort is significant, which, anyways, we will talk about later when we are debunking certain myths and misconceptions. But gaining full organizational commitment and bridging skills and communication gaps prove to be uphill battles. Yet, by deploying smart dashboards and leveraging models like CMMI or Kokomo, the company can not only track ROI but also continuously refine its strategies. This is the modern tale of how a test center of excellence can redefine quality assurance, turning challenges into stepping stones of innovation and success. Now, we understood most of these concepts that I believe you all would be aware, but let's understand where testing fits in into the DevOps cycle. As we all know, testing is an integral part of the DevOps workflow, but is testing supposed to be performed only post development? Do you think it could be performed at the planning stage, or the branch, or the code, or every single stage of the DevOps cycle? Well, CI/CD demands frequent code integration and testing, ensuring seamless releases without breaking functionality. Moreover, automation is key, reducing the manual efforts, minimizing the errors, and enabling rapid, consistent testing with every code commit. Moving further to the current generation, AI driven testing further enhances efficiency with self healing test, predictive failure analysis, and intelligent test generation. Beyond unit and integration testing, DevOps incorporates security, performance, and usability testing metrics, ensuring that software is robust and production ready. Moreover, you have real time feedback and AI powered insights that help you optimize processes which helps deliver the best quality software to your customers. So this means we have testing almost through every single phase, but does that mean you test everywhere? Well, as software professionals, we are familiar with the challenges when traditional testing struggles to match the fast software releases. And that's exactly where agile testing comes in. It's a practice that integrates testing throughout the software development lifecycle, which ensures you get high quality and faster efficiency. When you merge DevOps and Agile with continuous feedback, that's when you obtain DevTestOps, which is moreover built on the Agile testing principles. But however, the testing approach sets them apart. It is a core method of Agile methodology which ensures that you perform continuous testing during the development cycle, whether it's shift left or you shift right. This helps catch issues early, improve the quality at which you are releasing and doing faster releases to market. Moreover, also in a DevOps kind of a setup, agile testing becomes even more crucial with automated testing that speeds up your updates while maintaining quality. So, to summarize everything, how does testing fit into an overall DevOps workflow? Well, that's exactly where DevTestOps comes in, where the key focus is on continuous testing. Unlike the Agile Manifesto, even DevTestOps has its own manifesto, which was coined in 2018. As per the DevTestOps manifesto, the goal of DevTestOps is not to silo test between dev and ops, but rather to raise the visibility of testers and testing as integral parts of the DevOps quality culture. DevOps has set a culture where software developers, testers, and operation engineers, as you see on the right hand side, dev, test, and ops, work together, which adds value to the product, enhances quality, and helps in faster delivery. Moreover, DevTestOps ensures continuous feedback about the application, the issues from testers to developers throughout the stages of product development, and it also reduces the business risk and the possibility of finding defects at later stages. So let's deep dive into how DevTestOps basically works. DevOps, as most of you know, now emphasizes on continuous testing to avoid generating faulty software quickly. This drive is basically with the rise of DevTestOps that encourages collaboration among all development teams. To optimize a successful continuous delivery pipeline, reduce expenses, the time, and the risk by enabling gradual updates to live applications. As automation enhances the pipeline, you must incorporate more quality checks through the test first approaches, as you can see on line number 2. The end-to-end CI/CD flow that you build, it must have proper quality gates in place, and you must use test first approaches like whether it's test driven development, acceptance test driven development, behavior driven development, or likewise. And also make sure that you're running automation scripts to test out the new features that are going live. But that's not it. You must also store and reuse the suite of automation scripts for future so that your stakeholders are thoroughly assured that testing is thorough and adequate. Now, for this matter, you can also perform 4 types of testing that should be included for your DevTestOps workflow to be successful. First and most important one is exploratory testing. Based on the tester's previous experience of having worked in a similar kind of application, it helps in identifying the loopholes that are present within your application and what you may have missed while writing and testing scenarios. If we talk about testing flows manually, that's point number 2. Even if an organization tries to do as much automation as possible, there will be cases that won't be automatable. Or even if it is automatable, should you be automating them? Is the question. Third, ad hoc testing. It's an informal testing based approach, not based on a set of test cases, and many of the errors go undetected on following a formal testing methodology or a plan. That's where random testing helps. And last but not the least, automation testing. That definitely helps you save time and shifts the tester's focus on other important areas of the application rather than just focusing on areas that could be simply automated on a daily basis. So when we spoke about the DevTestOps manifesto, it basically rotates or revolves around these five principal guidelines. The first one being continuous testing over testing at the end. Second, embracing all testing activities rather than focusing only on automated functional testing. Third, testing what gives value over testing everything. Fourth, testing across the team over testing in siloed testing departments. And fifth, product coverage over code coverage. Now, I know if you just read out each of these manifestos, they are very self explanatory. So I won't spend time here explaining each of them. Instead, what I'll do is give you some time to soak this in while we move on to understanding how an end to end CI CD pipeline would look at. Now, most of you know we have different stages when we talk about the DevOps workflow. You have code development, you have continuous integration, continuous delivery, testing, and deployment. Code development is basically that phase where it is programming and coding, which circles around people, processes, tools, and metrics. People could be product owners, planners, designers, architects, developers, test engineers, managers, and leaders. When we talk about processes, it's more around agile practices, SDLC, RAD model, etc. And when we talk about tools, it's more of like designer tools. You may have Jira, Bitbucket, Jenkins, DevOps tools, probably Azure DevOps, and likewise. When we move on to the phase of continuous integration, it is more about how you integrate code to an integration server like Jenkins or Travis CI, for example, which provides continuous feedback by running tests, scans, checks, and it may involve a continuous loop with code development because every single merge commit may trigger a build to give you real-time feedback. So developers that practice continuous integration make sure that they merge their code changes back to development and master branches as often as possible. The developers changes are validated by creating a build and running automated tests against the build. By doing so, you avoid integration challenges that you would face on the release day, and also continuous integration puts a great emphasis on automation testing. Here you can make use of unit tests, have proper quality gates in place, just like Sonar, Cube, Jacopo, where I have represented, and you can define criterias within your organization that suppose if 100% or 80% of critical scenarios are passing, only then promote the build to the next test environment and all the way up to production. So these are criterias that you can define within your organization. But again, when we talk about continuous delivery, testing, and deployment, continuous delivery is simply an extension to continuous integration, since it automatically deploys all the code changes to a staging environment and then on to production environment. This means that on top of automated testing, you have an automated release process and you can deploy your application anytime just with a click of a button. If you truly want to get the benefits of continuous delivery, you must deploy changes to production as early as possible to make sure that you release small batches of code that are easy to troubleshoot in case of a problem. Lastly, we talk about continuous deployment, which is one step further than continuous delivery. And with this practice, you have everything in the loop, whether it's continuous feedback, automation, a full fledged CI CD pipeline with quality gates in place, which ensures there's no human intervention and only a failed test will prevent a new change to be deployed to production. Continuous deployment is a full fault prone, and I would say an excellent way to accelerate the feedback loop with your customers and take pressure off the team as there isn't a release day anymore. So let's understand or deep dive into the heart of DevTestOps, which is CI/CD. A DevTestOps model is critical to agile companies as it ensures that the focus of the whole team is on quality. And All developments undertaken need to be seamless and reliable. Let's look at how CI/CD can play an important role in DevTestOps. Firstly, it's important to automate the test cycle by getting all possible critical tests automated. Second, work with your development team to set up automated unit tests or proper quality gates in place as criteria to promote builds from development to test environment. Set up automated build and deploy processes, define and automate the handoffs between development and test teams, create proper test environment profiles in preparation for automated environment provisioning. That's where you can automate the infrastructure, and infrastructure as a code comes in. Leverage cloud or virtual clusters to set up testing environments on demand. And last but not the least, integrate the automated testing capability with the development team's continuous integration capability to establish continuous testing. Now, if you simply focus on the words highlighted in bold, that I would say conveys everything. But when we focus more on automation and CI/CD, there's one thing I want you to remember. Automation may be a good thing, but don't forget that it began with Frankenstein, if you've seen the movie back then. The takeaway from this quote is basically automation is not a tool, it's a mindset change from who will do it to how will it get done. Also, just because you can automate doesn't imply that you should be automating it. In fact, automating the wrong things can trigger a ripple effect of damage. Let's deep dive into some strategies for DevOps, which mostly circle around CI/CD, infrastructure as a code, containerization, and monitoring and logging. Now, the key strategies here include when we talk about CI/CD, it automates code integration, testing, and deployment using tools like Jenkins, Bamboo, Travis CI, and Circle CI to detect issues early and enable rapid releases. If we talk of infrastructure as a code, it automates infrastructure provisioning and management with several tools like Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and Terraform, which helps you reduce the errors and improve the overall efficiency. When we talk, if you look on the left hand side with containerization, it uses Docker and Kubernetes to package and deploy software efficiently, which minimizes the compatibility issues. And last but not the least, at the base, which is monitoring and logging. Tools like Prometheus, Grafana, the ELK stack, which is Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana, and Splunk. And also you have Datadog, New Relic, and several others, which helps you with monitoring. Mostly automate the performance tracking and log analysis for proactive issue resolution, which you can use more towards shifting right. Automation ensures speed, reliability, and scalability throughout your DevTestOps workflow. I want you to also focus on certain best practices while we focus on DevTestOps, but I wouldn't call that term as DevTestOps because now we're talking at a broader word. So call it DevXOps, Dev anything ops, whether you put testing, security, or automation in that spot. But the key criteria to focus on here would be automating as much of the testing process as possible, write test cases that cover all aspects of the software, incorporate testing as early as possible within your software development process, write secure code, make sure you're testing for vulnerabilities, manage infrastructure securely, respond quickly to security incidents, automate as much of the software delivery process, use tools that are easy to use and integrate with, and monitor and analyze the performance of software and infrastructure. That's kind of what we walked through, at least till this slide. But you may ask me, what are the benefits of following these best practices, and have we seen that in actual use? So, well, I would bring up the real world example of Netflix, which is one of the prime examples of a successful DevTestOps implementation. Integrating CI/CD, automation, microservices based architecture, and infrastructure as a code, which was automated to accelerate the software delivery. Their architecture enables independent development, testing, deployment, and improving efficiency. If you know the story behind Netflix, initially Netflix had siloed testing departments, And not only testing departments, each of their teams, whether it's an architect, developer, estate, release engineer, or anyone into support and operations, everyone worked in their own models, supporting their specific tasks. Transitioning into today, you see they follow a model which is operate what you build, or you build it, you run it, which means developers gained ownership of the full SDLC, which supported by robust automation and productivity tools, as you see on the right hand side. And the lessons that we learn from Netflix and their DevTestOps approach is basically empower your developers with freedom and responsibility. Prioritize innovation velocity over rigid uptime guarantees. Minimize bureaucracy and maximize enablement. Break those silos, break those walls, and foster collaboration. Data driven decision making and customer first approach. And lastly, remember DevOps isn't just a tool, it's a cultural shift. Their model may not fit all organizations and the way they function, but the principles here that we have discussed drives faster and more reliable, faster delivery. If we had to talk about numbers, that's generally what businesses want to hear. According to a survey by Puppet, organizations that have implemented DevOps practices and automated their software delivery process noticed a 60% reduction in the time it took them to deliver software to production. There was also a survey by Gartner which showed, on average, these organizations have seen a 25% reduction in the number of defects in the software they deliver. There were several other surveys, one by Accenture, which showed organizations have seen a 20% increase in the ability to which they deliver new features to production, a 30% increase in their ability to respond to customers' needs, and moreover, a 50% reduction in the time it took them to resolve issues. Now, when we hear so much positivity about DevTestOps, there may be some negativity, right? And you're part of a fast paced development team which works late night, pushing critical releases. The pressure keeps mounting when you think everything is ready. QA steps in with a last minute report saying there are bugs. The deadline is near, frustration builds, and now you're stuck in that endless cycle of fixing, retesting, and waiting. Sounds familiar, right? That's exactly where DevTestOps has been debunking all these myths and misconceptions. So let's try to blur out those lines between development, testing, and operations to create a seamless, high quality release pipeline. But hold on. Just like any buzzword, DevTestOps comes with its own myths and misconceptions. As you can see, the major three ones which are highlighted here: 100% automation, challenges with coordination, and a cost benefit ratio. Have you ever heard someone say, if it's not fully automated, it's not continuous testing? Well, that's a myth. While automation plays a massive role, expect expecting 100% automation is unrealistic. Some test scenarios like exploratory testing, usability evaluations, and complex scenarios which need to be integrated still needs that human oversight. Instead of aiming for an impossible goal, DevTestOps focuses on smart automation, risk-based testing, and continuous feedback loops. Second, if we talk about challenges with coordination, especially with large organizations, there's a belief that DevTestOps is only for startups or small teams because large organizations struggle with coordination. But let me ask you this: who has more to gain from streamlined processes, faster releases, and early bug detection? Global enterprises like Google, Amazon, and Netflix thrive on DevTestOps because they integrate testing at every stage. With service virtualization, AI driven testing, and containerization, even massive teams can break silos and ensure fast and reliable software delivery. Lastly, let's talk about whether DevTestOps is expensive or not. So let's talk money, because that's always a concern. Yes, there's an upfront investment in tools, infrastructure, and training. But here's what most people miss out: better code quality, immediate feedback loops, and early bug detection. A study by IBM that mostly showed fixing a bug in production cost almost 30 times more than catching it during the development cycle. DevTestOps shifts the mindset from let's test at the end to let's test from the start, making software delivery cheaper, faster, and more reliable. So you might ask, what's next? We have busted these myths, but the real challenge is in its execution. Successful DevTestOps isn't just about tools, it's about culture, collaboration, and continuous learning. So I leave you with this thought: are you just doing automation, or are you truly testing continuously? Is DevTestOps just a trend for you, or are you leveraging it to transform your software quality? Just think about it, because the future of software testing isn't coming, it's already here. Let's move into my favorite part of the topic today: the Tesla analogy. An AI powered test automation needs human oversight. Imagine you're cruising down the highway in a Tesla, letting the car handle most of the driving with its advanced self driving capabilities. You sit back, feeling confident in its AI powered system, which detects lanes, obstacles, and even predicts potential hazards. It feels almost like magic until suddenly the unexpected happens. A new roadblock appears. Maybe there's overnight construction work that wasn't there a few hours ago. Your Tesla, despite all its sensors and AI processing power, wasn't pre-trained for this specific scenario. It might slam on the brakes abruptly, struggle to reroute efficiently, or in some cases require you to take over control. That's when you realize this is not full autopilot. It's just an advanced cruise control system. And that's exactly where we stand today with AI powered test automation. Generative AI, LLMs, and intelligent automation frameworks like Robot Framework, Selenium, or Copilot powered test generation are revolutionizing the way we test software. They can self heal test cases, auto generate scripts, predict failures, and optimize test execution, just like Tesla's system optimizes your driving experience. But just like Tesla needs human oversight, AI in test automation cannot operate in a vacuum. When we talk about the evolution of software testing, let's take a look at how we got here. Most of you know we started testing literally clicking through interfaces, hoping everything worked as expected. Then came simple scripts that we automated. We automated those clicks, and soon we had robust frameworks in place, making our lives simpler. Do you recall those days when writing one test script felt like a huge accomplishment? Well, that one script eventually led us to build CI/CD pipelines that practically write their own jokes. Automation has evolved, and so must we. So, quick show of hands, who here thought that automation would become such a wild ride? It's been a fascinating evolution, right? And we are just getting started. So, when I talk about the use case for generative AI in DevTestOps, well, it's throughout the journey, whether it's shifting left or shifting right. Robin, a lead SDET, faces challenges in testing, slow test creation, flaky automation scripts, and he struggles to keep up with the rapid pace of development and releases. Next, guess what? We have shift left testing, which is integrated with generative AI. You have AI generated test cases where AI analyzes code and requirements to automatically generate comprehensive test scenarios earlier in the development process. And it helps you ensure that your test coverage is thorough right from the start. Moreover, you have a use case where you can have self healing automation, because as the application evolves, AI adapts to the automation scripts and reduces the maintenance time that it takes and ensures testing remains relevant with minimal human intervention. Lastly, intelligent code reviews. AI can be used for scanning the code for quality gaps, suggesting areas that need more rigorous testing, or areas that you might have missed out, like edge cases, helping testers and developers collaborate more effectively. When you move towards shifting right, which is more of like a proactive quality monitoring based approach, generative AI helps there as well. It helps you predict defect detection. So by analyzing logs, looking at performance metrics and the historical data, you can simply pass it to an AI which can help you predict potential failures before they impact production, which allows for earlier intervention. AI driven resilience. Instead of waiting for production issues, AI can simulate real world stress tests, pushing the system to its limits and identifying weaknesses. And last but not the least, something we spoke about earlier, an optimized CI/CD pipeline. If you remember the graph that I showed, AI enhances pipeline efficiency by prioritizing tests based on risk and real time code changes, which ensures faster feedback without compromising on quality. So, what's the impact of generative AI in DevTestOps? Well, you have faster test case creation, reduced flakiness, proactive defect detection, and several others. Time for a quick demo. Yeah, so I have an ID over here, which is PyCharm. Most of you may be using this or something similar, but you have GitHub Copilot chat, which is now available and integrated within most of these IDs. I'm taking a simple Python script, which I have already written here, which is simply scraping through a web page and fetching all the broken URLs along with their status codes. With GitHub Copilot chat, which is now available free of cost, and you can try out different models that are available with it. You can ask just by passing a forward slash command to explain the code. How it picks this is the file that is open right now. You can ask it to explain, get feedback for it, fix any problems that it can analyze, and it will give ready-made solutions. Ask for help, ask for writing unit tests for this particular piece of code, or generate documentation out of it, or simply ask it to simplify your code. Imagine the speed at which now you can optimize your code, make it more modular, more robust, and more efficient. These are just a few steps that you can take with some readily integrated AI models. Similar to that is Gemini Code Assist, where if I take an example of it to explain the code, all I do is select a particular function, right click on it, you see Gemini, and you ask it to generate unit tests, for example. It takes a couple of seconds to process. So in the meantime, here let's have the fix command run. And you can see both are already processing. It has collected the context, analyzed the problems and errors, and it's already providing solutions. Gemini, on the other hand, has already given you the output. And if you see, you already have unit tests ready for this piece of code. Likewise, on the right hand side, if you see, it has identified some issues with the code, especially insufficient error handling. So it suggests that we could handle errors in a better way. And you can replace that piece of code simply by using this insert code block at cursor. So whether you're replacing that function or if it changes the entire file for you, you can replace the entire file, run it, and see if it's adding value to you. So these are just simple steps. I'm not going to show you detailed demos on how you can use ChatGPT, Gemini, or several other AI models to generate test cases, to get intelligent test data, or several others. It's on you on what suits best for your needs. But all I can come back to the presentation and talk about is there are several best practices, and I want you to start small and focus on the ones or two cases that initially demonstrate the value of generative AI in testing. You must ensure that the training data that is provided to these models and is firstly of high quality and representative of the real world scenarios. It has data up to the latest date, and you are testing these models as well for efficiency and accuracy. Use a test automation framework that incorporates generative AI into the testing process. Also, develop a strong feedback loop to continuously improve the AI models. And lastly, monitor the performance of these models to ensure that it delivers expected results. You have several AI tools that you can leverage, some of which are just for a glimpse. But what's next? You have serverless computing, low code, no code, ML DevOps, GitOps, observability, chaos engineering, and moreover, you have this wonderful AI agentic era. Well, the future of automation is agentic. So focus on that, keep learning, keep growing. What Steve Jobs had to say is technology is nothing. What's important is to have faith in people. And if they're given the right set of tools, they can do wonderful things with them. So I would like to quickly summarize my talk. Well, DevTestOps is a great way to improve release cycles and streamline the product deliveries as per market and user requirements. You must follow the 5 principal guidelines as quoted in the DevTestOps manifesto. Embrace changes, drive innovation, which will lead you to a successful DevTestOps strategy. And don't forget, the future of testing is all of generative AI. You have wonderful use cases, make the best use of them. And for those of you who still have this question in mind, if your jobs will be taken away, well, move closer to the branch rather than sitting on the stem, and that will definitely save your job. So, on that note, thank you everyone. That's me. If you have any further questions, I'm in the chat box and you can reach out.
Hey, thanks a lot, Siddhant. Thanks for this insightful talk. It was really good to see a lot of things, especially the myths, how you approach Gen AI, right? So with that, I'll just move to the next part of the talk. I hope my screen is visible again. Right. So I want to briefly touch upon how BrowserStack is helping you evolve your testing needs, right? Like, so we start from the automation, given that what Siddhant mentioned on DevTestOps, right? Like we start from the basics of automation testing, right? And if you look at the current offering of BrowserStack, it's an end-to-end sort of solution designed for web and app testing. It works effortlessly on all the frameworks. You pick web, you pick Selenium or Playwright or Cypress for web, you pick APM, Espresso, XY test for app, right? You can do parallel testing. You can run across hundreds of mobile OS combinations, browsers combinations for web, right? And all on real devices, right? Because real device is what will give you the experience that an end customer would have, right? And not the virtual emulators, simulators, or any other devices, right? Not only that, with real devices, you will be able to do local testing. You can do the same on web. You can also test multiple real device features like biometrics, SIM-based features, calling, media uploads, etc. Right? To support all of this, we have the test observability tool, which brings advanced insights, shows you the flaky test, does an AI-powered RCA, which we'll also touch in the later slide, right? And yeah, so this is the whole suite of offering around automation testing, fully powered to sort of support your functional and cross-device automation testing, right? Now, if we have to move beyond this, right? Because I think as testing evolves, the needs go beyond just automation testing, right? What we are saying is there is an increasing need for giving the finest user experience, covering all of the users, right? So we move beyond functional automation, we move beyond cross-device testing, right? What comes next is how performant is your app or web, how accessible it is to all the users across the globe, right? And what is uh, what is it in terms of the visual aspect, how clean the UI is, right? So in order to get the best out of best experience for your users, drive the most business value, right? This is the spectrum of testing that you want to have covered, right? So BrowserStack has evolved into a test platform rather than just providing single like siloed solutions around automation testing. We are now evolving into an end-to-end test platform. So you have all the forms of testing covered. To sort of support this or actually elevate this, you further have tools or features before the testing execution or after the testing execution. You talk about planning and authoring. You have test management to sort of generate your test cases. You have low code automation to write your scripts, right? And to supplement your execution towards the post execution part through advanced reporting and analytics. you have test observability, you have quality engineering insights, right? So this is the whole spectrum. You look at multiple forms of testing. You look at end-to-end testing, pre, during, and post execution. Everything is being covered here. Now, further to sort of lift off the platform completely, is what AI brings in, right? As Siddhant rightly mentioned, the right way to use AI is overseeing, over like collaborating with AI to sort of use it in all of your phases of testing, right? And what we have next is, if I talk about a few things that BrowserStack already provides as capabilities today, a very quick view is you pick any stage: planning, authoring, execution, and reporting, right? And you would have solutions around AI. You can generate test cases for your product. You just list down the product, you just list down the specific test case you're looking for, and it would generate a list of test cases. You go towards authoring, you go towards script writing, and you can translate those test cases into specific test steps. We'll probably look at a demo quickly. You can generate whole lot of data for these test cases, right? You go towards the next phase, which is execution, and you have solutions around script maintenance. You have some changes in your locators. You don't want your scripts to fail, because that is something that happens very frequently when locators changes, when your layout changes, right? And self-healing basically stitches your layout again, like how it was working previously. It doesn't allow your test to fail, right? And when you move into reporting and debugging, you have solutions around intelligent analysis. You have failure reasons analysis, whether it's an environment issue, whether it's a genuine failure, whether it's a flaky test, right? And you have a detailed RC on it, right? You can definitely try out these features on BrowserStack, and we'll love to get your feedback, right? And this is not it. This is just the live set of features that we have today, and there are many more to come. We'll end this talk with a very quick demo. I'll just showcase you a quick demo on test case generation. So I just want you to look at this for 5-10 seconds. As you can see, let's look at the specific command. This is a sort of a flight booking site, and like a super app. As you can see, the customer is typing a specific use case, very detailed use case around going into a loan section, providing a certain set of details, right? It's just a text that he's entering. And when you look at the feature powered by BrowserStack here, you can see all the steps are happening on its own, right? So yeah, this is just a very quick demo around one of the features. We'd love you to sort of try out these features and get this demo. If you are interested, you might see a poll on your screen. Feel free to sort of register your interest, and we'll definitely reach out to you, right? So yeah, that's the end of the session that we had. And we'll quickly jump to the Q&A. Let me just pull up the questions that we have. I'll need a minute to sort of get the questions. Okay, let's start with the questions. I think, okay. So there is one question coming. Should we concentrate only on automation, or should we focus on more strategies of automation with AI, as the future is AI, right? I think Siddhant, do you want to add anything? You have seem to have covered this to an extent, right? But want to cover this?
Yeah, I think this is a good question, but again, I would just want to make this clear. We shouldn't focus solely on automation. Instead, we should integrate AI-driven strategies to enhance automation. Um, at least what I walked through the talk is AI enables smarter test generation, adaptive maintenance, and intelligent defect detection, which makes your automation more efficient. So the future lies in leveraging AI throughout your traditional automation practices. So make sure that you are learning, researching, experimenting, and embracing AI, because scalability, faster generation, faster execution, and better quality will only come with a balanced approach, not just with automation.
Great. Thanks, Siddhant, for doing this. The next question that we have is: using Gen AI tools models secure for the company data? But you would want to take that, Siddhant?
So yeah, that is also. I mean, when we talk about generative AI in general, the very first thing that comes to mind is privacy, security, responsible AI, and ethics. So it's a very valid question, and when you look at it from a company perspective, a lot of things need get involved, because it's not just a personal usage or a personal license. You're looking for an enterprise license, and you also have compliance and legal that get involved. So what I would say is partner with whether it's OpenAI or several others like probably Google, which are the big market players, and uh, have those procedures in place. Your legal departments and likewise can get in touch with them, formulate contracts, and make sure that your data is private and secure. This is something that we do at our organization as well, and many others have been doing the same. Otherwise, think of, I mean, what suits best for your needs, whether it's an open source LLM which certifies your use cases. But again, there will be certain restrictions when you have to use it at a global scale. So, yeah, I leave that to you.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Cool. Cool. Thanks for that. The next question I have is, okay, I see how AI can help with unit testing, but how can AI be useful with test cases and Selenium automation, right? So I'll answer that partially and hand it over to Siddhant. So as you could see, we have like just from the BrowserStack product itself, right? You can see there are solutions from test case generation. There are ones from like test data, test script generation. There are ones for on the execution. You can optimize. You can run a subset of your test around the ones where there was a recent code change done, commit was done. You can solve for flakiness through self-healing, right? And you have advanced analytics and reporting getting powered through AI, right? So personally, I can see, and even the BrowserStack team sees AI enhancing testing end to end, be it for automation, like be it for unit testing, be it for UI testing, right? Siddhant, would you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was about to just type the exact same answer. So, yeah, that
Cool, cool.
I think, yeah, that answers it. Perfect.
Got it, got it. I'll pick the next question. Just let me. Okay, I think. Okay, there is no. I think okay. There are questions around the tools, etc., etc. But I think those are already like Siddhant already gave a glimpse of the tools that we are using. That can be used, right? And I think more details will be good to sort of look at it offline, right? I think that brings us. I'm just looking for more questions to come up. Okay, we have some things. Okay, I am looking for an AI to read the user stories, acceptance criteria, and description of the Jira ticket and write the test. Okay, so the ask is for how can AI can AI read the user stories, acceptance criteria, and description of the Jira ticket and write the test cases? Can we do it? That's a good question, and I think in BrowserStack we are evaluating those use cases. We are definitely exploring the ones, and we'll be sort of looking forward to share some update in the near future once we have cracked that, right? So definitely exploring this part of the testing uh, life cycle. Right? There are questions around, okay, so there's one specific question around performance client-side tool offering, right? So on BrowserStack, we have app performance testing available around along with app automation. There is also a web performance offering in place, right? So you can definitely go on our website and try it out, or we'll offline, like on the email, we'll try to share the links with you. But you must definitely try those products. Those are available on BrowserStack. Right? Okay, I'm just pulling the next question. I think how much secure OpenAI or ChatGPT or other AI tools are, which this is already answered by Siddhant. Uh, do you suggest? Okay, I think given the time we had, we'll have to sort of pause the Q&A here. We'll answer some of these questions, individual questions, offline. That brings us to the end of the call. Really excited about the session. Thanks, Siddhant. Thanks, all the attendees, for your patience, for sharing your questions, for sharing your feedback, and taking out time to attending this. We will be sending out a recording of this webinar. Thank you once again for joining us. And yeah, looking forward to hearing from you again. Thank you,
Thank
guys.